Good morning, it's day 36 of our Lent Readings for 2022. And we're coming to the end of the books of the New Testament. We're going to be in 2 John today. Now 2 John, written by John the Apostle, who wrote 1 John, 3 John, John's Gospel. Very, very similar to those writings. As we read through, there's echoes of 1 John and John's Gospel. It's clear from the language and the style and the themes that these were all written by the same author. And probably written around the same time, at least as 1 John. So towards the end of the 1st century, 85 to 95 AD, after Paul and Peter's writings. And he's writing particularly about travelling teachers who would travel between congregations teaching. And they'd turn up, they'd stay for a while, teach the congregation, then move on to somewhere else. John's concern is that some of these teachers have been influenced by Gnostic thoughts and philosophies and are not teaching the truth. And so John is saying we need to discern, is this true? If it is, grab hold of it. If it isn't, reject it. This is written at a time when maybe some of Paul's writings were available, maybe the Gospels were available, but they wouldn't have had the whole of Scripture. So John is very concerned that the church isn't led into heresy. So he only wrote a short letter. It's only 13 verses long, and we're going to read all of it this morning. So let's read together. The elder, to the lady chosen by God and to her children, whom I love in the truth, and not only I, but also all who know the truth, because of the truth which lives in us and will be with us forever. Grace, mercy, and peace from God the Father and from Jesus Christ, the Father's Son, will be with us in truth and love. It has given me great joy to find some of your children walking in the truth, just as the Father commanded us. And now, dear lady, I am not writing you a new command, but one which we have had from the beginning. I ask that we love one another. And this is love, that we walk in obedience to his commands. As you have heard from the beginning, his command is that we walk in love. I say this because many deceivers who do not acknowledge Jesus Christ as coming in the flesh have gone out into the world. Any such person is a deceiver and an antichrist. Watch out that you do not lose what we have worked hard for, but that you may be fully rewarded. Anyone who runs ahead and does not continue in the teachings of Christ does not have God. Whoever continues in teaching has both the Father and the Son. If anyone comes to you and does not bring this teaching, do not take them into your house or welcome them. Anyone who welcomes them shares in their wicked work. I have much to write to you, but I do not want to use paper and ink. Instead, I hope to visit you and talk with you face to face, so that our joy may be complete. The children of your sister, who is chosen by God, send their greetings. Over in the middle of that is we saw the part where John talks about a new command to love one another. You saw the echoes in John's Gospel and in 1 John there. But the main focus is about truth. What is true? How do you discern truth? In verse 1 he mentions the word truth twice, and he mentions it again in verse 2, 3 and 4. 5 times truth is emphasized in the first 4 verses. Christians believe we have the truth. We have the absolute truth, because the truth we have is from the Creator. But society reacts against that. They don't like the idea that someone claims to have absolute truth. For them to say that you have the truth would imply others are wrong, and therefore all you're trying to do is oppress and force your truth upon them. And it's a restriction for freedom. They would say to be free, you need to be free from such narrow lines and seek your own truth. Find the truth that is true for you, and then in doing so, that's when you have true freedom. But Jesus said that when we find the truth will set us free. So how does that work? How can we have absolute truth and still be free. It's because with absolute truth, it sets boundaries. The world frequently has the idea that freedom means having no boundaries. But when you have no boundaries, you don't gain freedom, you lose meaning. Imagine a football match where there are no sidelines, where there is nowhere where the ball goes out. Well, people will just keep running and kicking the ball and it'll go miles and miles. You'll be miles from any goal. It will become meaningless because it loses its boundaries. But Christianity believes in the truth given by the Creator. It sets boundaries, and in those boundaries we live as we're meant and designed to live, and that gives us meaning. Imagine if we lived with truth, freedom and no boundaries. We all lived our own truth. Imagine what that would do to driving on the roads if we all lived, or we all drove however we wanted to. People would get hurt. Imagine what happens if everyone lived in relationships exactly as they wanted to. People would be hurt. True freedom is only found in the truth, the absolute truth of the gospel, because it's given by the Creator. It's what we were designed for. If a fish decided it wanted to have true freedom and live outside of water, it would die. But when it's in water, where it was designed to be, that's where it finds true freedom. I don't know if you've seen the film I, Robot. The idea behind the film is that a robot, Sonny, has been built to counteract a rebellion of robots. And at the end of the film, that's been achieved. And the robot turns to Detective Spooner, who another lead character, and says, "My task is finished. What do I do now?" And the detective effectively says, "Well, now you go and find your own meaning and freedom." That's the world's way of seeing things. But we're only truly free. We only truly have meaning when we're doing what we're designed for. And that's following the truth of the Creator. So how do we know it's true? I'd suggest we test it. We examine it. We examine the claims of Scripture, the claims of Christ. Do they stack up? Do they make sense of the world which we see? C.S. Lewis, the Christian author who was an atheist and became a Christian, wrote this: "I believe in Christianity as I believe in that the sun has risen, not only because I can see the sun, but in its light I can see everything else." As you examine Christianity, does its claims make sense of everything we see? I believe it does. As the psalmist tells us, "Taste and see that the Lord is good." For when we find the truth, we will be free indeed. Till next time, have a blessed day.